Off the coast of Marseille, the Chateau de Deauville has withstood storms, wars, and the ravages of time. But the once impregnable fortress is now teetering on the edge as climate change and rising sea levels threaten the island on which it's built.
We have photos from the 1970s and even the turn of the century that show that there used to be a small beach here. People would come to swim at the Chateau de Deauville.
In recent years, the sea level here has risen by 15 centimetres. On some days, the pier is nearly submerged, making it impossible for tourist boats to dock. The chateau is forced to remain closed some 180 days per year, 3 times more than 15 years ago.
If we look at all of the UN climate studies showing that in the next 45 years, sea levels are going to rise by around 40 centimeters, with more frequent and persistent swells around 2.5 meters high, by 2050 we won't be able to dock at the Chateau de Deauville.
And its pier is not the only element in danger. The ramparts and walls of this medieval state prison, which is classified as a historic monument, are crumbling. The culprit, increasingly frequent storms that are wearing holes into the stone facade. Climate change is now threatening dozens of historic monuments around the world. Faced with rising tides, the lighthouse of La Coubre on France's west coast could soon find itself flooded, like Venice. Like the statues of Easter Island, the Acropolis in Athens is rapidly eroding due to frequent high winds. Back in France, drought has already claimed a number of buildings, like this church tower in the southwestern town of Saramon, which collapsed in March. Meanwhile, 50 kilometers away,
our ancestors, the monks, built all this.
The Abbey of Bouillac is ready to fall down at any moment. Built in the 13th century, giant cracks are now spreading across its facade.
Starting in September, this crack appeared and now the choir section is ready to fall down the hillside. It's heartbreaking. For generations we've marvelled at how solid the church is, and now we can see that it's very much in danger.
Inside, scaffolding holds up the vault. The church, part of which is designated a historic monument, remains closed to the public. Built on clay ground that's now drying out, the building is being pulled apart.
You can see right through to the outside.
Repairs will cost an estimated €3 million. The national and regional governments have offered help, but this small town of just 650 people is left to cover the remainder, €700,000.
That's 2 years of our entire budget. It's colossal. For a community like ours, we can't save this church. If there's not more help, it's just not possible.
The mayor's last hope, an appeal to philanthropy, specifically heritage foundations, which are receiving more and more of such pleas.
In recent years, with climate change, we've noticed we've received many applications for aid, particularly from churches and chateaux. When I started at the foundation 10 years ago, I never heard about these type of cases. Recently, though, we're getting 3 or 4 per year.
If the Abbey of Bouillac is picked by the heritage foundations, a maximum of €300,000 will be disbursed.